Greetings from Spark. This is the second part of the video series on inculcating human values. In the first part, we saw the degradation of our consciousness to the current level, causing all the problems which we are facing in the world today. In this part of the video, which is titled Deconstruction, we will be dealing with how to unravel the structure that we have with us today and move on to a new structure. The word deconstruction was first probably used by Descartes in 1641 in his thesis Meditation on First Philosophy, where he says that his thinking and his foundation for new discovery is based on mistakes he has made in the past, as well as some wrong concepts that he might have taken in to arrive at a foundation for his older thoughts. But he says, if I want to move into the new thinking, then I have to undo the foundation as well as the structure with which now I am starting a new venture. This undoing the structure is called deconstruction. It was in 1960, Jacques Derrida, a French philosopher, who formally came up with a philosophical analysis of deconstruction. His overall philosophy was philosophy of structuralism, in which this played an important part. And he says deconstruction is not destruction. This is something vital that we have to take into consideration when we are moving forward. Especially Derrida, when he was analyzing the movement from modern to postmodern, he said that whatever values that we had in the modern area can also be taken into postmodern with modifications, with additions. It can be taken into the postmodern era. Similarly, when we are talking about consciousness elevation, it is not that we are going to completely do away with all the structures from which we have evolved. I have talked to you about the various structures of consciousness through evolution. We had the archaic structure, the magical structure, the mythological structure. Then we had, from the age of Renaissance as well as Enlightenment, we had the mental structure. The mental structure is very important because it was basically responsible for all our scientific discoveries and new information which we have right now with us as a repository. But bulk of our old structure is based on what we call Platonic duality. Right from religion as well as in science, we have the duality of the subject-object, the body and soul. This duality is based on basically what Plato defined as the soul and the body being completely divested from each other. This is not true. Recent findings have confirmed that the soul and body cannot be separated. Pierre du Chardin, a French Jesuit and an anthropologist, spent 7 years in China studying the evolution of the species, the Homo sapiens, and he discovered the Peking man. He was both a very spiritual, theological as well as a scientific person. And he came up with a definition of what human beings are. And he says, you are not a human being in search of a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being immersed in a human experience. This is the totality of existence of a human being, physical and spiritual. Stephen Covey, who is a contemporary author, he has been studying the human being and his thinking process in a much more deeper way. He had come up with the 4 intelligences with which every human being is born. We have physical intelligence, PQ, our ability to maintain and develop our physical body. Then we have the mental intelligence, IQ, our ability to analyze, reason, think abstractly, use language, visualize, and comprehend through our mind. Then, in the last 30-40 years, we have got emotional intelligence, which is becoming very important, especially in the complex world in which we are living today. Emotional intelligence is a capacity for our self-knowledge, self-awareness, social sensitivity, empathy, and the ability to communicate successfully with others with our heart. Then we have, in the last 20-30 years, the importance of spiritual intelligence, our drive for meaning and connection with the infinite through our spirit. The connectivity of the human species to the entire cosmos is something which we totally lacked in the past. But today we are finding through various disciplines and our knowledge that there is absolute connectivity, interconnectivity between all the things that which exist. To be fully human is to be fully spiritual. This is the underlying principle. In this exercise, we basically have to redefine human values as spiritual values. They cannot be different. Human values are, for example, respect, acceptance, consideration, appreciation, listening, openness, affection, empathy, and love towards other human beings. With these human values, one becomes truly able to put into practice his or her ethical values. These are justice, integrity, refusal for violence, and compassion. These values enable us to coexist in harmony towards a sustainable future. This is the goal of elevating our consciousness, that we have to move towards a living in harmony with the entire ecosystem. The ecosystem is full of examples of this type of participation. Self-sacrifice, cooperation are rampant in the entire natural world. I'll give you a few examples. Let's take the bacteria. They evolved 3 billion years ago. They were the first living organism. They had a single cell, the prokaryotic cell, and they had no brain, no nervous system. Yet, in today's deep observation, we find the bacteria have got both self-sacrificing and cooperative attribute. In experiments done today in a petri dish which consists of a colony of bacteria, if an antibiotic is introduced, some of the bacteria which are resistant to antibiotics move to the top layer, protecting their companions and comrades. Some of them have to die, but in the process, the bacteria with lower capacity to encounter antibiotics develop immunity. Then we have trees. Trees have intelligence. Trees communicate. Dr. Susan Simard is a professor of forest ecology in British Columbia. She has done extensive research in the forest and found that the huge trees in the forest have, at the roots they have the mycelium, the very fine roots. All these roots are interconnected through fungi to each other. So the entire forest floor is a network like neurons in the brain of these root system, and they communicate. When a pest attacks the forest, immediately signaling goes on so that action can be taken by individual trees to secrete a proper resin to protect themselves. Leaf cutter ants. Dr. Evo Wilson, who is a professor of evolutionary biology and is known as the father of biodiversity and sociobiology in Harvard University, has spent 40 years in the Amazon forest studying these ants. They have 4 different tiers of hierarchy. They have been living in harmony for more than 50 million years, and their cooperation and self-sacrifice is beyond description. These ants defend the colony against any invader by sacrificing themselves. Then, now we can look at the birds, the bird migration, for example. The capacity of the brain of the birds to sense the Earth's magnetic field and also the position of the sun is something which you have to be appreciated, because they communicate and they can migrate over 5,000, 6,000 kilometers. Our closest relative, the chimpanzee, with whom we share 99% of the DNA, has been studied in depth in the Congo by Dr. Jane Goodall. And what she has discovered defeats our normal perception of the sustainability of a species. These species have been living, these chimpanzees have been living for 18 million years in perfect harmony with the ecosystem and with each other. Their social responsibility, affection, caring, love, and emotions like sadness when they lose one of their companion is something very amazing. We have also what we call symbiotic relationship in nature, where you can see the symbiotic relationship between the barbel fish and the hippopotamus in the African savanna. These fish, which live in the water, greatly get benefited from the hippo. The hippo feeds on the grassland during the night and spends most of the day in the water. And they excrete in the water, and their excrete is very rich in nitrogen. The fish eats these excretes and they have a very healthy life. In return, they do a perfect scavenging job of cleaning up the hide of the hippopotamus of all parasites. Not only that, they do a dental job of cleaning up the gums as well as the teeth, as the hippopotamus keeps the mouth open in the water. All this points out that we are surrounded by a system where a selfless, non-egocentric, sustainable life is continuously given to us as examples. Only man, because of his very highly rational development and his egocentric existence, has become not an agent of empowerment but an agent of destruction. That is why these are some of the knowledge that we have today with which we have to move forward. In the next episode, we will be talking about tools which are used to deploy the new knowledge. These tools again start with basically the knowledge domain. What we are finding in especially cosmology, quantum physics, and consciousness. Today, consciousness is a subject of study in most universities and by leading scientists. We will talk about these things in the next video, and thank you for watching and listening.